welcome into a fresh season of Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Braiden, joined alongside Jack Harris. And Jack, I can't tell you how excited I am to have you as my new partner, sidekick, accomplice, wingman, friend.
Okay, Braiden, I think they get it. I, too, am excited to be here, but I don't know it was longer. That introduction or this winter break we're coming off of. I mean, like my New Year's resolution, that thing's been long gone by now.
Speak for yourself, because my New Year's resolutions are still fully intact. I'm eating healthy. I look the best I ever have. New year, new me, the whole thing. Speaking of that, Arizona State's kind of living the same way. On Wednesday, the school sent preliminary plans for a $160 million renovation of Wells Fargo Arena to the Arizona Board of Regents Business and Finance Committee, who approved it unanimously. The renovations include reconstruction of the lower bowl and adjacent indoor sports complex to house wrestling, gymnastics, and 2 ice hockey rinks. The Board of Regents will officially vote on the proposal in February. If approved, the construction on this groundbreaking project would begin next year.
Yeah, well, there certainly is a lot to be excited about moving forward for ASU, but there was also a lot of excitement during this past winter break as Sun Devil teams across all sports were in action while the rest of ASU students were off campus. Luckily, our Spencer Hardenberg is here to bring you up to speed on what you might have missed over the last several weeks.
Thank you, Jack. It's recap time. Now, the weather may have cooled down, but the Sun Devils stayed hot this winter. Let's start out with the team everyone on campus has been talking about, men's basketball. They've had a very up-and-down season, as going undefeated in conference play and beating the likes of Kansas and Xavier didn't guarantee anything come conference time. While they were ranked as high as number 3 in the country, the Devils are now ranked 21 and are 3-5 in conference play. They're out of Pac-12 contention, likely, but they are on their way to a high-seeded NCAA tournament berth. Women's basketball isn't doing too shabby themselves, as they're currently ranked number 25 in the nation. Just like the men, they too started hot in non-conference season, but as you can see, they've struggled in Pac-12 play, losing 3 of their last 4. Men's hockey is currently 7-14-5 and is in the midst of their final stretch of home games, as they're currently gearing up to play Boston University tonight. As for the other ice hockey team on campus, the ladies are sitting at 5-11-1, and they're preparing for their senior night when the University of Denver comes to town next weekend. Now, over to the mats. The wrestling team has been on a tear lately. They've won their last 10 meets and are now preparing for the Edinburgh Open in Pennsylvania next weekend. We'll stay in the gym with this one. The gymnastics team has been a very pleasant surprise for ASU fans. They've had an excellent season thus far and are currently ranked 14 in the nation after victories at West Virginia and Stanford. All right, guys, consider yourselves caught up. Take it away.
Thanks, Spencer. Great update there. Now on to one of the biggest stories in Arizona State athletics over the past month and really the entire year. That, of course, is Sun Devil men's basketball. Joining me now is WCSN men's basketball analyst, expert, guru, whatever you want to call him. Chancellor Johnson is with me now. And Chancellor, one of the big issues for Arizona State over the course of this conference play where they have struggled is competing against the zone defense. That's something we saw last night against Utah. And so what's kind of been the problem for Arizona State against the zone?
Yeah, as you mentioned it, ASU has really struggled against the zone defenses. And until they figure that out, teams are going to keep showing that to them night in and night out. And ASU is at their best when they're off in transition. The only way to get out in transition is to get stops. And you'll see that here as they roll the tape. All right, so this is against the Utah game, right? Bibbins drives, turnover, and Melo gets it and kicks it out to Trey Holder. And what Bobby Hurley likes to do is get his guards in high ball screens. Bibbins goes under, and Trey Holder is a 40% three-point shooter. That's all day for him, all right? And what the high pick and roll does is gets the guards going downhill and allows them the opportunity to kick out to shooters and also drive to the basket as well. So as this play here, it's pretty similar to the last one, almost identical, all right? Melo gets it, gives it to Holder, and they set a ball screen. Not once, but twice.
Okay.
All right? He goes under, and that's all day, as I mentioned before. And it's basketball, so teams are going to score the basketball. So you have to figure out ways to score when the defense is set. And one of the ways to do that is to either hit the high man right here or drive against that zone defense, finding gaps. And just like Shaq would say, this is barbecue chicken in this matchup with Remy Martin. He dumps it to Melo for a dunk. That's just a couple ways that you can break down a zone defense.
You made it look easy there. Clearly it's not that easy, or Arizona State would have a lot more success against it, quite frankly. All right, number 2, a big game for Arizona State tomorrow, looking to bounce back against a team that upset them earlier in the year. That, of course, Colorado kind of started the downturn, if you will, if you're Arizona State. So what are some key matchups, and what do fans need to look forward to tomorrow in that Colorado game?
Well, if ASU wants to be successful, they're going going to have to figure out a way to stop McKinley Wright. And he had a big game against the Sun Devils with 19 points. And he's wreaked havoc not only on ASU, but on other Pac-12 teams as well. The other key is bench production. Now, that's normally one of ASU's strong suits. Between Mickey Mitchell, Remy Martin, or Daquan Lake, they're normally pretty effective. Against Colorado the last game, they only had 12 points. Colorado, on the other hand, had 38. So if they want to be successful, they're going to have to get that fixed.
The bench points is a huge thing for Arizona State. Seems like almost every single game. All right, so last question. They're 3-5 in the Pac-12 conference. Huge disappointment after being number 3 in the country overall just about a month ago. So is the sky falling? What's your message? How does this team kind of rebound and get back on track?
Well, it's no need to hit the panic button yet. All right? Last year, they had won 15 games on the season. This year, it's only January, and they've already won 15. So they're fine. But first things first, they need to take care of Colorado on Saturday. Then after that, they go and travel to Washington and play the Washington schools. And then it's a date against the LA schools, and then the team from down south, University of Arizona, comes and plays, and that's always a tough matchup. But you want to see them get it together and gain some momentum heading into that Pac-12 tournament. I think if they do that, then you might see them break the streak of getting into the March Madness tournament.
You see that schedule there. It's not easy. The Pac-12 conference is never easy, but Chancellor, great stuff as always. See if the basketball team can rebound moving forward. All right, we are less than a month away from Sun Devil baseball. Arizona State is looking to have a redemption season in 2018 after the struggles of last year. One thing that could help bring success back this year is the pitching, and the Devils may have already found someone to be an ace on the mound. WCSN's Alex Gall has more.
Coming off one of its worst seasons in program history, ASU baseball is looking to rebound from their 2017 woes. The Devils are attempting to flip the script just a year after finishing 8-22 in the Pac-12. A big part of this endeavor will fall onto the shoulders of Spencer Van Scoy, who in just his second season as a Sun Devil is looking to stabilize a pitching staff that collectively had an ERA north of 5.5 last season. We talked to Spencer about his goals and ambitions for the season.
What Kat talks about with us is just going out there and getting people out. If everybody on our pitching staff can do that, then we're going to be pretty good. My goal has been to go after that Friday starting spot, and I'm just going to keep working to get there.
Last year, Van Scoy cracked the starting rotation, starting 8 games for the Sun Devils, but failed to tally a win. In the summer, he traveled to the Cape Cod Baseball League, a hotbed for up-and-coming college talent, where he posted a 3.11 ERA and 2 victories over 26 innings pitched. Van Scoy hopes he can channel some of that summer success into this season for ASU.
I'm just going to continue with the same mindset that I took into the summer, and that's just to not leave anything back and just go after people.
This season, Van Scoy is in the running for the team's #1 starting spot. Early on, he's drawn heavy praise from head coach Tracy Smith and ASU's new pitching coach, Mike Cather.
He really turned the corner and became more of an independent person to say, hey, this is what I'm doing right now, what do you got? And me, it's like, go do it, this is good. He's right now, for me, he's a Friday night guy. Obviously, Tracy's going to have a final say in that, but he's proven over the course of the fall that he could be a guy that puts us in a lot of really good situations on Friday night.
You don't put the full stamp of approval on it until the season happens, but if he does what he did against what I think was a pretty good hitting team, in other words, our inner squads in the fall, if he does what he did during the fall, you know what, folks, we feel like we've got a true ace.
ASU baseball starts their season on February 16th with a matchup versus Miami, Ohio, and Spencer Van Scoy hopes that he's standing on that mound that night and for every Friday during the season beyond that. Reporting from Phoenix Municipal Stadium, Alex Gall, Cronkite Sports.
ASU is one of 5 schools in the country that currently has both its men's and women's basketball teams ranked. Charlie Turner Thorns squad is in search of its 5th straight NCAA tournament bid this spring. Something WCSN's women basketball insider Andrew Bell can tell us about now as he joins us. Andrew, thanks for being here. So let's start with one of the Devils' most important players, Kiana Ibis. How have you seen her progress over the course of the season?
Well, Jack, the thing about Kiana Ibis is she's really grown her game this season. She's been versatile. She's been able to do things that she wasn't really doing last season, obviously in an understated role behind Sophie Bruner and Quinn Dornsauter. This season, she's been fantastic shooting the ball from 3-point range. She's averaging 14 points a game, and Charlie Turner Thorne noted it the other day. She's up nearly 8 points this season, and she's just been absolutely electric on the floor.
Yeah, well, she's been important for this team because Sabrina Haynes has been out. The Sun Devils have a limited roster overall, but yet they've been able to keep themselves in the top 25 of late. How have they been able to do that?
Well, what they've really been able to do is manage injuries. Last Sunday, Charlie Turner-Thorne, was really happy with their team's effort just because they were injured. Kiara Russell at the half had an IV in her arm. I mean, she was not feeling well. She didn't eat all weekend. Riley Richardson had a sprained ankle as well, played through that. Breonna Sanders went down, and regardless, the Sun Devils have been able to put forth good performances regardless of who's been on the floor, and without, right now, Sabrina Haynes, who was their leading scorer at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, they've been able to battle through some adversity. Now they go on the road tonight and on Sunday in Northern California. Give me some keys for ASU to pull off a weekend sweep.
Well, I'm going to give you two players, Jack. First of all, from Stanford, Brittany McPhee. She is on a tear. Earlier, a couple weeks ago, she was the ESPN W Player of the Week. She absolutely tears it up, nearly 16 points a game. And then for the California Golden Bears, Christine Inigwe. She has 17 points a game this season. She really had a good game last time she was in town in Tempe, and she is going to be tough to stop for the Sun Devils. So a big key for them is going to be rebounding on the glass, controlling the glass, and all around just being able to control the game and play their style of basketball.
Yeah, well, we're still over a month away from the NCAA tournament. That's plenty of time for this team to get healthy. With a full roster, how far can you see the Sun Devils going in March?
Well, I think the biggest thing for this ASU team right now is just getting healthy. I think once Riley Richardson heals up, I think once Breonna Sanders heals up, Charlie Turner-Thorne mentioned earlier this year that Breonna Sanders could be an X factor for them. And one of the big things for them going into the NCAA tournament is that health factor, and as well as their shooting from beyond the arc. I think Jamie Rudin could be a force for them. She's shown it in spurts throughout the season. She sustained a concussion against Oregon State. She's back now. She's healthy. And Charlie Turner-Thorne said earlier this week she expects her to get a lot of playing time this weekend in Palo Alto. So if they're able to get all those pieces working and moving at the right time, I think they could have a deep run in the NCAA tournament. I'm thinking out of the first weekend, between the first two, and who knows how far they can go from there. It all depends on the bracket and how well they're playing at the end of the season.
Yeah, they definitely are a dark horse to keep your eye on. Andrew, thanks for joining us. And be sure to follow along with Andrew during the team's run to the tournament at cronkitesports.com.
ASU women's hockey was back on the ice this week, preparing for their upcoming games against the University of Denver. The Devils will play DU twice, with the second game being on senior night. WCSN was at practice to get some thoughts from ASU goalie Jordan Nash-Bolden about the upcoming series.
I think it's definitely a little bit more important now, especially that, we're towards the end of the season here and we're trying to get all the points we can moving forward. But it's definitely going to help us a lot, being here at home and having that conference opponent and knowing that we've seen this team before. We saw them last year, and, those obviously were the games that we won at home. So I think we have a little bit of momentum against them going forward. But I think you definitely feel a little bit of added pressure just, with the fact that we coming off a couple of hard games or, a hard series before Christmas break, and just trying to get back on track, I guess. And we know this is a team we can get back on track against, so it definitely helps. I know prior to the games against the Assiniboine that, we didn't really know what we were in for because we'd never seen them before. We'd never seen their opponents. But this team, obviously we've seen them a little bit last season, and we kind of know the way that, they're going to move forward, or, at least the way that they did. So it's a little bit easier for us to game plan against that, I think, and to go forward in that way.
We bring the women's hockey talk back in studio now and welcome on WCSN's Women Hockey Insider Michael Gutnick to the show. And Michael, catch us up on what was an eventful break for the Sun Devils during this winter break. They played GCU back in December, a rivalry series, before returning to the ice this last week. Where's this team at right now?
Well, against GCU, they played really well, winning that series 3-1 in that series. And in that 3-0 game, they earned their first shutout of the year and in program history. So as they finished off 2017, they were able to establish a dominance against a team from within their valley. And now they've moved on to 2018, where they faced a team across the border in Assiniboine College. And despite being swept by Assiniboine, they were able to establish some experience against a stronger team, but they kept in fighting in those close contests.
Now, before we talk about the final stretch of the season, let's go back for a second. Who on this team has really stood out to you this year?
It's been sophomore goaltender Jordan Nash-Bolden. In 17 games this year, she's recorded 5 wins, including the shutout against GCU. Her goals against average has improved significantly. From last year, she had a 4.8 GAA, and this year she's moved to under 3, which is impressive. And one thing to note from her saves and her save percentage is that she's the only goaltender with 600 or more saves and a save percentage better than 93%. So really impressive work by her. Despite her small size, she's a big reason to why the Sun Devils been able to fight in some closely contested matches this season.
Yeah, well, we just heard from her thoughts on this weekend. She's been on this show before, and like you said, she'll have a huge role to play to get this team into the playoffs. What exactly do the Sun Devils need to do to clinch a second straight postseason berth?
They have a very important series against the University of Denver. It's their final home series, and in the last year, they earned their first win and their first sweep of the season against this team. So they'll have some confidence coming in their final homestand, knowing that they've been in this team before. And it will be a test for them in order to make a push for the playoffs at the end of the season.
Yeah, Devils have a couple more wins to get to extend their season. Michael, thank you for joining us. You can keep up with all of his work at CronkiteSports.com. Well, as one door is closing on the ice this year, another one is open on the mats, where ASU's women's gymnastics team has flown out of the gates this season, shattering expectations while surging up the national rankings. Our own Gym Devils reporter Carly Mathias is here with more.
Thanks, Jack. The Gym Devils are proving to be national contenders this year after sitting comfortably in the top 15 for the first 3 weeks of the season. ASU currently has an all-around average score of 195.8, which is good enough for 14th in the nation and 3rd in the Pac-12. The Gym Devils also rank in the top 25 on all 4 events. Their 4-1 record is already their best record since 2014, and the Gym Devils captured their highest score since 2007 in their win over West Virginia. ASU has earned 4 victories over ranked opponents so far this season, and ASU has freshman Cairo Leonard Baker to thank for a lot of their success. Leonard Baker has earned Pac-12 Freshman of the Week honors the past 2 weeks, something that has never been done in program history. The freshman ranks 16th in the individual all-around rankings and has the highest all-around score from a freshman so far this season. You can catch Leonard Baker and the rest of the Gym Devils squad when they take on the Cal Bears at Wells Fargo Arena at noon this Sunday.
Sun Devil men's hockey has been led by one player all season long, Brinson Pashnik. So what fuels the leader of this team? WCSN men's hockey reporter Kylie Meter has the story.
16 points is reason for sophomore defenseman Brinson Pashnik to celebrate. Not to mention earning a second star, being named the MVP of the Ice Vegas Invitational, and becoming an assistant captain.
I mean, he's earned it with his behavior and his character and how great of a teammate he's become over the course of this year. And then certainly it doesn't hurt that he's probably our best player on top of it. So everything he's gotten, he's earned, and he'll continue to.
Although Powers has acknowledged his talent throughout the season, getting the nod doesn't go to his head. Brinson's recent leadership role also hasn't changed his priorities.
I want to get the team going every single game, whether that's a goal or just a shot or just a hard-working shift. So that's kind of my mindset every game. Just, go out there and see what I can do to get this team going.
Getting his teammates fired up is something that the offensive-minded defenseman has been able to do as the leader in points for the team. He's had consistent success on the ice, but Powers has also noticed Brinson's personal development.
It's incredible. It's been really cool to see his growth as a human being, and that's what we say. If you take care of your life away from the rink and outside of these walls, and you do all the right things, and you treat people the right way, and you're a good person and a good human being, and it all translates, and the sky's the limit for him.
Power says he's surprised that he wasn't selected in the NHL draft last season. But for Brinson, there's a silver lining in not moving on. He gets to remain on the same team as his older brother, Steen.
We've played the last 3 years together, and it's been something I'll never forget and I'll always cherish and be grateful to God for. We both have plans in this life, and we're both going to try hard to get there, and whatever happens, we're always going to stay best friends.
As Brinson continues to thrive at ASU alongside his brother, he is not discouraged about the way things turned out last year, and he remains hopeful that he'll make it onto an NHL roster.
I know it's always been something I want to do from day one. Getting on the ice, I said I want to make the NHL, and that dream definitely hasn't gone away or gone down in any means. So that's still the goal, and just taking it day by day, seeing what I can do every day to get there.
In Tempe, I'm Kylie Meter for Cronkite Sports.
Well, Well, we've got you caught up on the world of Sun Devils athletics already today, but now we'll get you up to speed on the world of social media, where we have our online expert, Nick Batters, joining us today to give us the best of the last week and beyond.
This is probably the toughest thing that I have done and will ever do in my career at ASU, because I had to sort through 4 weeks of winter break tweets and then 2 weeks of tweets since we've been back at Cronkite. So 6 weeks of social media. There were Tracy Smith Bitmojis, there were hot pepper challenges, bell pepper challenge for Herm Edwards. It was a fun time, but it was challenging. Hopefully you guys can live with what I had for a few
minutes.
months.
You had a lot to deal with.
It's an unenviable task.
Yeah,
sure.
Good luck, man.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to head over to Twitter, and I don't know if you guys saw, but the ASU women's hockey team, they've been adding a lot of new recruits lately, and they tweeted out Catherine Jones, a forward from Pittsburgh, will join the Sun Devils in the fall of 2018, which is great for them. They need more players. They have a small roster right now. But the thing is, they already have a Catherine Jones in this team. So I tweeted out, wow, I guess if you're broadcasting the game, enunciation is going to be important, because their names are, from what I know, pronounced the same. I promise that I didn't come on this segment just to promote my own tweet, though, because one of the players, Jessie Frigno, also a Cronkite student, she quote tweeted it to let me know the team has unanimously decided that Catherine Jones, their current Catherine Jones, will now be called Kathy. She is not thrilled, but I'm sure it will grow on her. Now, the new Catherine Jones that's coming in from Pittsburgh, her Twitter name is Kat, so I think they may be safe, but how would you guys feel if you were, I guess, the veteran of the two Catherines and you were kind of getting shipped to your name?
I'd be pretty upset. I mean, there's rules of seniority here that should be applying, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know about you guys.
That's like, hey, we just changed your name. You know, welcome to the squad.
That's rough. It's like if another
it was a unanimous decision, too. That's
telling.
It's like if another Braiden came in and we said, well, you're just going by B-Bell now. So.
Whoa, hey, let's not make fun of the old nickname. Come on now.
So for the second thing that I have, we're actually going to hop off Twitter and we're going to head over to Instagram. ASU Baseball Media Day was a couple of weeks ago, and Spencer Torkelson, one of the freshmen on this team, posted a picture with our very own Scotty Gaines doing a little bit of an interview with him. The caption, though, is what's great, because Spencer said, "Reporter, did you work out this offseason?" Me. Clown question, bro. What do you guys think? Is this bad reporting? Is it a clown question, or is Spencer just giving Scotty a hard time?
Poor Scotty. He got framed on this one, and I feel bad.
A little tough. I do wonder if that clown question, bro, is a direct quote, though, because that would work pretty well in the story. You know, someone tells me clown question, bro. I mean, I'm going to use it.
Absolutely. That's straight from Bryce Harper. that was big time. And Scotty, even though, you know, he's kind of getting dissed on, it's still a little bit of love. So
Spencer Torkelson channeled his inner Bryce Harper in high school, hitting a bunch of home runs, and now he's doing it on social media, too. Maybe we'll see the hair next. I don't know.
I'm sure the Sun Devils would love to see a Bryce Harper in uniform.
Now, I'm going to tie the hair comment into this next thing. We're going to head from Instagram to Facebook. And I don't know if you guys have watched that Hell Froze It Over show on Facebook Live. The Sun Devil hockey team does a Facebook Live every week from Tuesday at Pedal House Brewery in Tempe. And Tyler Paley, our former WCSN president, he sits down with Coach Powers, maybe another member of the team. He asks Powers some questions. Fans can send in questions. It's a really cool segment.
Right.
Now, check out what happened a couple weeks ago when Tyler asked Coach Powers about his New Year's resolutions.
Don't forget, comment any questions right down low. Ask Coach Powers any questions you got. I have one more for you. Are there any New Year's resolutions you made?
I made a few.
Care to share?
I went to the barber yesterday and I had a picture of you and I said I want to look like Tyler. You cut my beard and my hair.
It looks good. Yeah. I think it looks good.
I think they did about as well as they could.
So there's a lot of fun stuff that happened there. Tyler's phone fell off his knee. But what we really need to hone in on, speaking of hair, is that Coach Powers went to the barber shop and said he wanted the Tyler Paley. So I got to ask, we can't relate to the whole beard thing. We're all kind of follically changed up here. But how would you feel, let's say, Braiden, if Bobby Hurley went into the barber shop and said, I want the Braiden Bell up top?
With all due respect, Bobby, you couldn't get this. You just don't have enough hair. No disrespect to Bobby Hurley. I don't want him angry at me, but it's just the truth.
Oh, that is true. I'd be personally pretty honored if you walk in a barbershop, just see my face up there and said, I want that haircut right there.
That'd be cool.
Yes.
That'd be neat. Tyler, miss him, great guy. Thank you guys for having me on. It was hard, but it was fun.
You had a lot to do. You did a great job there. I'm pretty impressed. I don't know about you. All right, so from social media now to the newest D1 sport here on campus. Let's send it over to Rob Warner, who has more on the men's tennis team.
Thanks, Braiden. The Arizona State men's program is back in Tempe in the midst of its first season since 2008, when the team was disbanded due to financial constraints. This recently reinstated program is under the leadership of head coach Matt Hill, who led the University of South Florida to 3 consecutive American Athletic Conference championships before getting hired by Ray Anderson to come to ASU. This team is now a month into a new era for ASU men's tennis, and it hasn't gotten off to the start Hill would have hoped. The Sun Devils have dropped their first 3 matches of the season, but before we act like this team isn't playing well, it's important to note that these 3 teams that have beaten ASU are all top 25 ranked teams. ASU has lost to number 25 Duke, number 7 Texas A&M, and number 10 TCU. All of those teams, they went to the NCAA tournament a season ago, with Texas A&M and TCU advancing to the Sweet 16. With such a strength of schedule, it's tough for ASU to really get a feel of their 0-3 record. It's not exactly indicative of the talent on this team. Sun Devils now have a weekend off to practice before they will host 3 teams in the ASU Invitational. Those teams, Cal Poly, Fresno State, and LMU, all a significant drop-off in level from that of Duke, Texas A&M, and TCU. Look out for the Sun Devils to come out hungry, and here's my prediction. I say the team doesn't just get its first win of the season, I think the Sun Devils will even win the Invitational. This team will be good, really good. So don't write off ASU just yet. Now let's send it back to Braiden.
Looking for the best team at Arizona State right now? It really isn't hard to find. The ASU women's water polo team is currently ranked #1 in the country, according to the USA Water Polo rankings. The Devils are currently 3-0 and will hit the pool as the top-ranked team in the country on February 2nd when they host teams from around the Mountain Pacific Conference in the ASU Cross Conference Challenge. WCSN's own Alex Gall will have the call for all 4 games that weekend on Pac-12+.
If you forgot about ASU wrestling after its 0-2 start to the season, you could have been forgiven. Not anymore, though. If you haven't been paying attention, the Sun Devils have been rolling over opponents in recent weeks, penning down a 10th straight victory against CSU Bakersfield on Wednesday and climbing up to number 8 in the polls. 6 Sun Devils rank in the top 20 nationally in their weight class, led by the best 174-pounder in the nation, Zahid Valencia, and this week's Pac-12 Wrestler of the Week, Ryan Miloff. With championship season right around the corner, nobody's forgetting about the Sun Devils now. ASU heads to Pennsylvania next week for the Edinburgh Open, their final regular season tournament of the year, before rounding out their slate with dual meets against Lehigh and Cal Poly next month.
All right, Jack, those wrestlers, they're tough.
They are tough.
They're very tough. You know what else is tough? This segment. The way it is, this is where we have 3 questions, debate our answers, and then the winner gets to have a little time to have a monologue. I think it'll be me tonight, but I'm not.
I can't be too sure about that, so we'll see what happens here.
The newcomer with some confidence. All right, question number 1, ASU men's basketball. Who is the biggest X factor on this team? It's been a struggle lately, but who sticks out to you as that guy?
It's a guy who hasn't really been a big part of the team yet, but can be down the stretch. It's Kamani Lawrence. Look,
okay.
ASU, they need some more scoring off the bench, especially when the guards going through their slumps lately. Kamani Lawrence is a guy who can provide that scoring punch as a reserve, could be big down the stretch in Pac-12 play.
He looked really good against Cal. My guy on the screen right back here, Remy Martin. He basically took over the game in the second half against Utah last night. He's phenomenal. He's like the Energizer Bunny, I swear to you, when he's running around. The hair's flowing. He's awesome. That's my guy. He's the X factor.
All right, let's go to question number 2. Oceanside Arena has been receiving some praise lately due to the hostile crowds there, but what is the most hostile venue in ASU athletics?
You know, this is a tough one because Sun Devil Stadium can be rocking if it's a big game, but for me, it's Wells Fargo Arena, the bank, baby. The bank can be the toughest place to play, especially think back to that Oregon game a couple weeks ago when Arizona State played them. It was rocking in that arena. It was sold out. And just the way that building's built, it just seems like the sound really comes back down and really attacks the opponents.
I'll have to disagree with you, though. Sun Devil Stadium, and I want you to think back to last year's game against Cal when ASU returned that onside kick for a touchdown.
It was rocking.
There are very few environments that can match that energy level, that's for sure.
People forget about that play.
Right?
Right?
Oh, it was a great play.
Yeah, it was a great play. All right, last one. Gym Devils. They've been a huge surprise so far this season. They're currently ranked 14th, like you heard earlier in the show. It's been a year filled with surprising moments, though, around Sun Devil athletics. What's been the biggest surprise to you so far?
Well, ASU basketball has been surprising, but I think it's been the fan support they're getting. I mean, at the beginning of the season, they had walls so that there were less seats in Wells Fargo Arena. They broke those walls down. They're getting the fan support, and they're going to need that trying to get out of this slump.
They've literally broken barriers. They've been so well. Okay, for me, it's when Arizona State football upset Washington. Who saw that coming? And it wasn't just that they won that game. They held them to 7 points.
Yeah, they can do anything, the Huskies.
It was nuts. I don't think anyone really saw that upset coming, but it really has been a year of surprises for a lot of Sun Devil athletics. Now we await the winner.
We'll see if this result is surprising. I don't think it will be.
I don't either, but we'll see. I think we all know who should win this.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, my goodness.
Great
Cute picture, though.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's right. Today marks the 2-month anniversary of Todd Graham's firing, a move that was only outdone in criticism by the hiring of his successor, Herm Edwards. That's right. A man who spent the last 10 years doing what we do will now be tasked with doing what Graham used to do, trying to lead the Sun Devils through a brutal Pac-12 schedule to a sought-after conference championship. It's okay, Sun Devil fans, if you're still a little uneasy, but keep this in mind. The last 2 months, ASU has also compiled one of the best assistant coaching staffs the program has ever seen. Last season's receivers coach Rob Likens will run the offense, while former San Diego State mastermind Danny Gonzalez has come over to head the defense. Herm Edwards might be in a slightly foreign role to him, but he has surrounded himself with coaching talent. That deserves to be commended, and that's the way it is.
Your monologue just proved it's always football season. All right, top plays now. We start off on the ice. Let's talk Saturday versus Quinnipiac. It's Anthony Croston. Look at this goal. Phenomenal play. Weaving his way through and putting it through the net.
Johnny on the spot right there.
Beautiful goal. And Sun Devil Hockey, they've been really fun to watch all year long. That is your number 3 play this week.
Now let's go to number 2 now, and you saw this one last night at Wells Fargo Arena. It's Trey Holder, late in regulation. The Sun Devils trailing with this loose ball everywhere. Holder gets it, going to the hoop, puts it up, count it, and one. A huge play for the Sun Devils. Holder hits the free throw, but as you know, they would lose in overtime.
I'm a big fundamentals guy. The free throw is my favorite part of that play. All right, number 1. Who doesn't love double overtime drama? Well, I do, and so does ASU hockey. Louis Rowe from Jacob Wilson in double overtime. Great play in a clutch spot. Everyone loves that. There's the slow-mo replay at Oceanside. It's a hostile environment, baby. You saw it there.
You know what they call that in hockey? That was a clap bomb right into the upper
clap
corner.
Bomb. You're
Clap
the hockey
bomb
expert.
right
I did
there.
not know that, but there you go. You learn something every day.
Great show. If you can't tell, there's so much going on right now in Tempe with ASU Athletics, and we'll be back next week to bring it all to you. For Braiden, I'm Jack. Thanks for watching.